What we did at General Motors, and I'm particularly proud of this program, is what we called Immerse and Disperse. And these were the people who were directly involved in social. Rather than creating a core team that was always going to be seen as the sort of standalone or separate experts, we had 15 people over the course of the 4 years that I was there do a direct stint on the social media team. They would come in for about 1 year, and their job during that 1 year would be to be the person on the Twitter accounts, be the person on the Facebook accounts, go to social media conferences, attend tweet-ups, be directly involved in social as all that you do. And once you're done with that 1 year, rather than keeping you in that center of expertise, it's time to move you on to another part of the business. Some went to Chevrolet Communications, others went to Financial Communications. We had a couple in Buick Marketing. Wherever else they would go, it became their job once they went to other parts of the business to become the expert there. And rather than bringing everything back to the social media center of expertise at corporate, let each individual department or each individual brand start building their own programs based on the counsel of these new social media experts. It sped adoption, I think. It sped the spread of expertise. And the nice result was that we had more than 20 people who we could legitimately count as experts who had established their own presence in social media, who had built programs or executed things for the company. And when I left a year ago, there wasn't really a noticeable blip. There wasn't really a hiccup in what General Motors was doing in the social web. I take that as a compliment because it means we did the job right. We actually built a practice rather than building everything around my presence. Quickly, working with smartly with online influencers, ways to not tick off outside bloggers. This is where we start to look at external rather than internal focus. Get over yourself, and I'll get into that in just a minute about how you need to sort of put the audience first or the influencer first. Know and follow the FTC guidelines. Don't do anything that's going to get you smacked by the FTC, because not only will they get you for it, but that'll be the talk of the social web. So please follow the FTC guidelines. Do your homework. And by that I mean actually read a blogger's blog before you pitch them, and not just the first post that's up there, but several pitches. Maybe even click to next or page 2 and read everything that's on there. Find out what their community is talking about, what kind of comments they get back, what is their audience interested in. Actually know the brand or know the blog, because there's nothing that a blogger likes less than a pitch from a PR person who clearly hasn't done their homework and is just saying, oh, you've got a high Alexa rating, or Quantcast says a lot of people come to your site, so I think you'd be interested in X or Y. Don't be a lounge lizard. You don't want to go in talking about yourself right away and making it all about you. You don't want to be a used car salesman and immediately jump on somebody and try to sell them and stuff. Talk to them first. Get a dialogue going. Be willing to sort of invest the time in somebody before you reach out to them. Be involved offline. Face-to-face still matters. Face-to-face still counts. Get your social people to go to local chapter meetings of the social media club, or to go to local community tweet-ups. Get them involved offline just as much as online. Be clear about everything, and I mean by that, set expectations properly about what you're expecting from them, not only in terms of what you hope that they'll write, but what they should anticipate if you're inviting them to an event or inviting them in to work with you. The example here, when I was at GM, again, we invited at one point 100 social media influencers. Some were bloggers, some were people from Twitter. We invited them to come see the plant floor where the prototypes of the Chevrolet Volt, the electric car, were being built. Well, in the auto industry, you kind of know you don't go on the plant floor without long pants and without closed-toe shoes. And we just sort of assumed, well, yeah, everybody knows this. Well, when we invited everybody in, it was August, and a lot of people were showing up in shorts or skirts because it was hot. A lot of women had open-toed shoes, and all of a sudden they couldn't go onto the plant floor like we had hoped and like we had brought them in to do, because we had forgotten to just sort of be clear about what the expectations and rules were. It's not their fault. They had every right to be mad at us. We needed to be clearer about what they needed to do. Use the right people from your brand. I am not an advocate of just putting the CEO out there or the CMO or some high-ranking executive out onto social networks or involved with online influencers just because of their title. You need people who don't take themselves too seriously. You need people who can have a sense of humor, who are relatable, and who manage to have conversations that don't just relate only to the message that they have to tell that day. You want people who are used to being questioned, or at least can handle being questioned. If somebody listens to their spiel and says, I don't think so, what about this, what about X or Y, you need somebody who's not going to be offended or react defensively to that. Monitor and follow up. The important thing to remember here is that you don't want to look at things in just a short term. Oh, we've got this campaign going, or we want to get this person to write about us once, so let's hit him, let's get him involved in this, and then we'll never talk to him again. Nothing says to an outside, to an online influencer, I just used you, like a quick hit and then silence, and then they never hear from you again. Do follow up. Find out not only do they post about what you brought them in to post about, or what you hope they would post about, but keep following up. Keep going in and occasionally comment on their blogs. Keep that relationship going, because you're going to be able to go back to them and turn them into an advocate for you. And that doesn't happen with those one-offs. That happens through ongoing conversation, ongoing interaction, and slowly but surely over time, you'll build up advocacy. Get over yourself. Again, the big brand hubris. Bloggers built their audience without you and without your news. It doesn't really matter that you've got version 3.1 of something. You've got to make it relevant to them. You've got to make sure that it fits the influencer's personality and their audience, not just because you say so, because it actually genuinely fits. Your executive's title doesn't mean anything. You can't get bummed or offended or bothered if somebody says, I don't care about meeting with John Smith, who's our CFO. Outside of your walls, your executive's title doesn't mean anything. So you've got to make it relevant again to the audience, not because he or she is the executive with the title, but because they've got something important to say to that audience. And finally, it's not all about you. Again, lead with their interests and topics ahead up front. Follow up every time. Don't just reach out to somebody once, but keep the conversation going. You'll get a lot more out of long-term relationships than short-term campaigns. Quickly, very quickly, social media crisis. When you get a social media program going, something bad is eventually going to happen. You're going to get criticized online. People will go after you. It happens. The trick isn't preventing a crisis. The trick is knowing how to handle it when it happens. There are 6 different kinds of crises. Some of them are individual generated. Somebody in your company does something stupid and the online world finds out about it. Some of them are just bad customer service. You could be getting campaigned by an activist group that doesn't like one of your commercials, or doesn't like contributions that your PAC made, or thinks that you're damaging the environment, or whatever it is. Somebody could be campaigning you for those reasons. A social media fail, just a bad idea for a social media program that people will look at and go, oh, man, this company sure doesn't get it. Gosh, that was just such a dumb idea. You could have an organizational brain freeze. If you're The Gap and you change your logo and everybody wonders why you changed your logo, you just do something that everybody shakes their head and goes, oh, that was a dumb business decision. Netflix would be another example. And then did I lose? Sorry about that. I had a blank screen for a moment. I apologize. Then the last kind of crisis, and I'll skip over this in the interest of time, but would be an organizational breakdown, a 3 Mile Island kind of thing, a crisis on the level of what GM experienced in 2009. Common themes on how to respond to a crisis: keep your social team in the loop. You can't expect somebody to respond intelligently and to sort of manage the crisis online if they don't know what's going on offline. You've got to have your communications team or your social media team at the table and keep them informed as to what's happening when you've got a crisis. Apologies go a long way. If you messed up, just say so and acknowledge it and say you're sorry and be willing to move on. People don't expect you to be perfect. They just expect you to be sorry when you make a mistake and to learn from it. Speed is critical. Don't think that you've got several hours or days to respond to something. You got to get out there fast and respond to it in, an hour or minutes, even in some cases. Don't delete criticism. That's a big one. As long as people are adhering to your terms of service and aren't using profanity or anything like that, if they're criticizing you on your Facebook page, you got to leave it up there. If they're leaving critical comments on your blog, you've got to leave it up there. Your audience isn't just the critics. This is important. A lot of times people will go, well, I'm not even going to bother trying to engage with this person because they clearly hate us, and haters going to hate, and there's nothing that we can do about it, so why should I even bother engaging them? The answer is because it's not just that individual person who you're talking to. Everybody else that's on the network, everybody else that's on your Facebook page or following along with the conversation on Twitter can see your responses and can watch how you respond. And even though I may not reach the really harsh critic, I can get to maybe 15 other people by responding intelligently to that person. So don't think that your audience is just the critics. Use the right tools. Again, don't put out a press release to address a crisis in social media. Go out on a blog, put a YouTube video up, use the right tools that actually are appropriate to the genre, and get caught learning from your mistake. Again, people don't expect you to be perfect. They just want you to learn from your mistakes and not make them again. Again, the book is about how to build an organizational social practice and how to engage as a big brand with people online and in a way that's going to help you achieve your goals. It's available now on Kindle, at Amazon.com, on BarnesandNoble.com, and available at stores. And if you're so inclined, I do have a Facebook page for the book, Facebook.com/The Social Media Strategist.